If war breaks out tomorrow, do you have enough food to survive for a few weeks? 90% of people stockpiling food are doing it wrong. They think they are fully prepared, but when a real crisis hits, everything in your fridge or at the store will disappear faster than you imagine. In this video, I will introduce 12 essential foods you need to stockpile before war starts. Items that almost never spoil and are extremely important for you and your family to maintain health. But there is one item at number 7. Few people think of it, and when you don't have it, you will immediately feel the difference. Trust me, skipping this item, you will regret it. Watch the whole video to find out what it is, because this is not an ordinary food. It is something you cannot live without during war. 12. Powdered milk. Many people overlook powdered milk for one very simple reason. They don't like it. And honestly, that is completely understandable. Powdered milk doesn't taste like fresh milk. It's not something you look forward to every morning. But in a crisis, this is no longer about taste. It's about what lasts when everything else disappears. Fresh milk spoils very quickly. You need a fridge, you need electricity, and when the power goes out, everything in your fridge starts a countdown. This is not hypothetical. During the winter storm in Texas in 2021, millions of people lost power for days. Fresh food was almost completely ruined. Fresh milk became something that had to be thrown out after just 24 to 48 hours. But families with powdered milk still maintained a basic source of nutrition, especially for the elderly and young children. That is the difference between convenience and survival. An unopened can of powdered milk can be stored for 12 to 24 months, or even longer if kept in a dry, airtight place. Just add water, and 1 kilogram of powdered milk can produce about 7 to 8 liters of milk, a source of nutrition that doesn't depend on electricity or refrigeration. And here's something many people overlook. For the elderly, powdered milk provides calcium, light protein, and is much easier to digest than many other foods, especially when the digestive system is no longer as strong as before. One viewer shared very honestly, "I don't like powdered milk, but I always keep a few cans at home." That is the right mindset. You don't stockpile because you like it. You stockpile because you might need it, at exactly the moment when you have no other choice. Of course, powdered milk is not perfect. If not stored properly, it can absorb moisture and spoil quickly. If mixed incorrectly, the taste can be hard to drink. But with just a few small tips, use warm water instead of cold. Divide into smaller portions to avoid opening multiple times. You can extend its shelf life and significantly improve the experience. And there is one signal many people are overlooking. Recently, powdered milk has begun to show signs of rising prices and slight scarcity in some areas. No lines, no panic. But history shows that every shortage starts this way, quietly, slowly, until you return to the shelves, and it's no longer there. And at that point, the question will no longer be, "Do you like powdered milk?" It will be, "Have you prepared it? Or not?" 11. Dry pasta. Have you ever wondered, if the power goes out for a few days, would you actually be able to eat all the pasta piling up in your pantry? Pasta is one of those foods that almost every family in the US has. It's cheap, easy to buy, and can last in the pantry for 2 to 3 years without spoiling if stored properly. With just a small package, you can make several full meals. It sounds like the perfect choice for anyone preparing for difficult situations in advance. But there is one small detail, and it changes the whole story. Pasta is not something you can eat right away. During the winter storm in Texas in 2021, millions of people lost power for several days. Not just a few hours, but multiple consecutive days. Refrigerators stopped working. Fresh food was almost completely ruined. But what surprised many even more was, even families with plenty of dry food like rice or pasta could not cook anything. No electricity, no stove, and in many areas, water was also limited. The boxes of pasta stayed untouched in the pantry. Not spoiled, but not helping them get through the next meal either. That was the moment many realized a simple but important truth. They had stocked food, but had not prepared a way to use it. And this is the point you need to understand clearly. Pasta is not the wrong choice. In fact, it is one of the smartest stockpile foods, if you pair it with a practical plan. With just a simple heat source, like a small gas stove or a compact camping stove, you can turn dry pasta into a hot meal, enough energy, and easy to combine with whatever you have on hand. A little jarred sauce, a can of meat, or even just salt and oil is enough to create a meal that can sustain you through difficult days. Experienced preppers rarely stop at just stockpiling. They prepare how to use it. They know that just soaking pasta for a few hours significantly reduces cooking time. They understand that when resources are limited, every small detail, like water amount or cooking time, becomes critical. And these small details are what make a big difference when everything around you stops functioning normally. So the issue has never been whether you have pasta at home or not. The issue is, when the time comes, can you turn it into a meal? And in a crisis, that is no longer a small detail. It is the line between having food and actually being able to eat. 10. White rice. Are you sure the rice in your house is still edible after a few years? Rice is one of the most basic foods in the world. It's cheap, easy to buy, easy to stockpile, and for many people, just having rice at home gives a sense of security. A bag of rice placed in a corner of the kitchen can sometimes make you think you are fully prepared for difficult situations. But there is a truth that very few people say outright. Rice doesn't spoil quickly, but it doesn't protect itself either. Many people keep it in the original packaging, place it in a pantry or corner of the kitchen, and believe it will be fine for years. But over time, moisture, air, and insects begin to act silently. There are no immediate obvious signs, no warning, until one day, when you actually need it, you open it, and what you see is no longer food. There are people who have faced that situation. They opened a container of rice after months of storage, and what they found were weevils, musty smells, and grains that were no longer usable. And at that moment, they not only lost the food, they lost the plan they thought they had prepared. That is the real problem. It's not whether you have rice or not. It's whether your rice still exists properly when you need it. But don't get it wrong. White rice is still one of the best foods to stockpile. If stored properly, it can last for decades and remain usable. And this is where many experienced people do things differently. One viewer shared a very practical tip. They don't keep rice in the original bag. They put it in airtight containers. Add desiccants and a few bay leaves to deter insects. They even place the rice in the freezer for a while before long-term storage to kill any weevil eggs. Thanks to these simple steps, their rice maintained quality for years without any issues. The difference is not in the quantity. It lies in how you protect what you have. Of course, like many foods, rice still needs water and heat to cook. But that is not the biggest weakness. More importantly, when you need it, do you still have rice to cook? So don't just look at the number of bags of rice in your house. Look at how you are storing it. Because in a crisis, The danger is not that you lack rice, but that you believe you have it, when in reality, you lost it long ago. 9. Canned fish. Do you know, in many emergency situations, what saves you is not the food you have the most of, but the food you can eat immediately. Canned fish sounds very familiar. Not flashy, not special. Many people don't even think about stockpiling it. But it is precisely this ordinary quality that makes it one of the most underrated items. Look at reality. When the power goes out, you can't cook. When water is limited, you can't prepare elaborate meals. And when everything around stops, your body still needs energy, immediately. That is when canned fish makes the difference. You just need to open the can and eat. No stove, no water, no waiting. While many other foods are sitting there waiting for conditions, canned fish is ready to become a complete meal. A small can can provide protein, healthy fats like omega-3, and many essential micronutrients, things your body needs to maintain energy and alertness under stress. But here is what surprises many people. In a real situation, when people start panicking and rush to buy food, the easy-to-cook items often disappear first. But the ready-to-eat items, like canned fish, are what help you get through the first days when everything is still unstable. Some people have shared that during prolonged power outages, they could hardly use most of the food in the house. But the small cans of fish, items they had bought very little of before, became the main source of nutrition that carried them through each day. And this is the point you need to see clearly. Not all long-stored food holds the same value. Some items require conditions, some items require time, but canned fish does not. It exists exactly for situations when you have no other choice. Of course, it is not the only solution. You won't want to eat canned fish forever. But in the first days of a crisis, when everything is still chaotic, it can be one of the very few things you can actually use. So don't let familiarity deceive you. Because in a kitchen full of food, the most valuable item is not the one you have the most of, but the one you can eat immediately when everything starts to collapse. 8. Canned meat. You can stock an entire kitchen, but still be preparing wrong from the start. It sounds a bit uncomfortable, but it's the truth. Many people buy rice, pasta, and all kinds of dry foods. They look at that pile and think, I'm fine. But there is one question almost no one asks. Where is my protein coming from? Your body doesn't just need calories to survive. It needs protein to maintain muscles, support the immune system, and keep you from collapsing during prolonged stress. After just a few days without protein, the body starts losing muscle, strength declines, and you will clearly feel fatigue. Not ordinary hunger, but energy drained from within. And the dangerous part is that it doesn't happen immediately. It happens silently, until you realize you don't have enough strength to do even the simplest tasks. That's when you understand. But it's too late. And that is exactly why canned meat exists. Not to taste good, not to diversify meals, but to fill the gap that most people overlook. A small can of meat, beef, fish, or Spam, requires no stove, no water, no preparation. Just open it, and you have a complete source of protein. It sounds simple, but in the first 72 hours of a crisis, when everything is most chaotic, what you need is not the best food, but food you can eat immediately. One very blunt comment said, I had plenty of food, but in the first 48 hours, I could use almost none of it. The only thing I ate was a few cans of meat I bought thinking might as well. That is not a rare story. It happens when theory meets reality. And here is what many people don't realize. You're not lacking food. You're lacking something you can eat when you are weakest. A 3 to 5 year shelf life is not the biggest advantage. The real value is that it works when everything else doesn't. So if you are stockpiling but lacking protein, you're not missing an item. You're missing a critical part of survival. Because in a crisis, you don't fail from running out of food. You fail when your body no longer has the strength to continue. 7. Honey. If there is one food that almost never spoils, it is honey. It sounds unbelievable, but archaeologists have found honey in tombs thousands of years old, and it was still usable. No fridge, no complex storage, no need to worry about expiration the way you usually think about food. But what truly makes honey different is not its shelf life. It is the value you get within minutes when you need it most. In an emergency, you are not always hungry, but you can easily experience a sudden drop in energy. Dizziness, loss of focus, your body slows down. And then, the problem is not what to eat to feel full, but how to get energy immediately to keep going. And that is when honey makes a difference. A small spoonful, just one spoon, can provide energy almost instantly. No cooking, no preparation, no heavy digestion needed. This is a form of energy your body can absorb very quickly, almost within minutes. One person shared after a long trip in harsh conditions. I started feeling dizzy, my limbs weakening, not because I ran out of food, but because I had no energy to continue. And the only thing that helped me regain alertness in minutes was a little honey. It sounds simple, but in that moment, it was no longer food. It was the ability to keep going. And it doesn't stop there. Honey also has mild natural antibacterial properties. In conditions without full medical care, it can temporarily help small scratches or soothe a sore throat when the body begins to weaken. Not medicine, but in a shortage situation, it is an advantage very few foods provide. Honey may not be the cheapest item, but if you look at it correctly, you will see. You are not just buying a food. You are buying something almost never expiring, a quick source of energy, and a tool that can be used in many different situations. And this is what many people do not realize. While everyone rushes to buy canned goods, pasta, rice, honey stays quietly on the shelf. No one grabs it in a hurry. No one thinks it is important. Not because it has no value, but because they are only preparing for the feeling of hunger, not for the moment when their body suddenly has no energy to continue. So don't look at honey as a nice-to-have item. Because in a crisis, you don't fail from lacking food. You fail when you have no energy exactly when you need it most. Do you have a few jars of honey yet? If not, pause the video and check your kitchen now. 6. Baking soda. Many people stockpile food the wrong way. They buy plenty of things to eat, but forget the items that help them manage situations when everything starts going wrong. And baking soda is one of them. Most people look at it and think it's just a baking ingredient. But in a real crisis, it is no longer food. It is a tool. One person in Florida shared after a prolonged power outage lasting several days. We were not starving, but the kitchen started to smell, grease built up. Everything became unpleasant. What I wished I had more of was not food, but things that kept everything clean. It sounds minor, but that is when you realize the problem is not always food. It is the environment you are living in. Baking soda helps you clean when there is no detergent, deodorize when the space becomes stuffy, and in worse situations, it can extinguish small grease fires when you have no other options. You won't think about it until you need it and don't have it. In normal life, you choose convenience. But in a crisis, you need versatility. And this is where the difference appears. The person preparing for peace of mind and the person preparing to survive. A box of baking soda costs just a few dollars, sits quietly on the shelf. No one fights over it. Not because it has no value, but because most people do not recognize the value of things that cannot be eaten immediately. And when everything starts to spiral out of control, you will understand. The thing that keeps you safe is not always the thing you eat. It is the thing that helps you keep everything from collapsing. 5. Salt, especially iodized salt. If you had to choose between water and salt, which would you choose? It sounds like an easy answer. But in reality, many people focus only on stockpiling water and forget the thing that helps the body retain it. And that is salt. Most people see salt as a seasoning. Nice to have, not critical. But in a crisis, salt is no longer a seasoning. It is what keeps your body functioning properly. One person shared after a prolonged heat wave in Arizona, "I drank plenty of water, but still felt exhausted, dizzy, and unstable." The problem was not lack of water, it was lack of electrolytes. When you sweat continuously, your body loses salt very quickly. And if you don't replenish it, you can become fatigued, cramp, even face greater danger if it continues. It sounds simple, but this is where many people go wrong. Salt does more than help you maintain your physical condition. It also helps preserve food, cure items, and extend the shelf life of other things when you don't have a fridge or electricity. A small item, but it affects many things around it. In normal life, you almost never think about salt. But in a crisis, you will realize, not everything cheap can be replaced. A bag of salt costs very little. No one fights over it. No one stockpiles much. And that is why it is always on the shelf, when everything else has disappeared. Because when people panic, they buy things to feel full. But those who understand, they prepare things that keep them from collapsing before hunger hits. 4. White vinegar. The cheapest item in your kitchen is often the first thing you run out of when everything starts going wrong. White vinegar is one such example. Most people see it as ordinary, used for cooking, sitting in the corner of the kitchen, nice to have, not critical. But in a crisis, vinegar is no longer just a seasoning. It is what helps extend the life of everything around you. One person shared after a supply disruption. Food didn't go bad immediately. It started to spoil gradually. Odors appeared. Everything deteriorated. And you don't have many ways to control it. That is when things like vinegar become important. Not to eat, but to keep other items from spoiling too quickly. Vinegar can help you clean when there is no detergent, deodorize when the living space becomes unpleasant, and more importantly, it helps preserve food, extending the shelf life of what you have. Especially in areas with hard water, vinegar can keep appliances, faucets, and tools functioning when you have no alternatives. It sounds simple, but this is where many people fail. Vinegar is very cheap, and that is why you won't buy enough. In normal life, you don't need to think about extending the life of everything. But in a crisis, you are not just using, you are trying to delay spoilage as long as possible. Food doesn't go bad immediately. It spoils gradually. And by the time you realize it, it is usually too late. A bottle of vinegar can last a very long time. No one fights over it. No one stockpiles it. It always sits quietly on the shelf, while everyone rushes to buy ready-to-eat items. Because they are thinking about today. But those who truly prepare, They are thinking about how to keep everything from collapsing after day 3. 3. Oats. What would you do if your only breakfast took 5 minutes and the power was out for days? At that moment, oats become an unexpected lifesaver. A survivor in Michigan shared, "During 3 days without power, they only had a few packs of dry oats and hot water from a storage container. But thanks to that, the whole family maintained stable energy without feeling ravenous hunger." Oats are not only easy to cook, soft, and easy to digest for older adults, but they also provide long-lasting energy. No fridge, no complex stove, just a pan of hot water gives you a warm breakfast. To emphasize, this is not about tasty or luxurious. This is survival. It helps you maintain your daily rhythm, focusing on what matters in an emergency situation. And the important twist, oats can be varied. Add honey, seeds, or dried fruit, boosting energy while reducing monotony when surviving for several days. Many people overlook this item because it seems ordinary, but that very ordinariness is its strength. Stable, easy to use, instantly satisfying hunger. Not every food needs to be luxurious to sustain life. With oats, you have both a base food and a lifesaver for maintaining daily rhythm during a crisis. 2. Dry beans. The food you will be grateful for when a crisis hits. You won't think much about a bag of dry beans until all other food in the cupboard is gone. One viewer commented on a previous video, "I always ignored dry beans until a 4-day power outage. Luckily I had a few bags, otherwise my whole family would have been hungry." Dry beans are not just plant protein. They are energy, long-lasting fullness, a lifesaver in chaotic days. A 500-gram bag can cook into 4 to 5 meals for one person. They contain protein, fiber, and stable carbohydrates, helping you maintain strength and focus during shortages. The great thing is that dry beans can last for years if stored properly. Airtight, dry, away from direct sunlight. You don't need a fridge, you don't need electricity, and they can sit quietly in storage until you truly need them. But don't assume beans are absolutely safe. You need a cooking plan. Boiling water, proper cooking time, and a bit of salt or seasoning for better nutrient absorption. That is why many people miss the true value of this item. Mini twist. Many people buy instant pasta or rice, but forget that a bag of dry beans can feed an entire family during a power outage or supply disruption. If you are preparing for an emergency, dry beans are not a nice-to-have option. They are essential. Without them, all the starches, pasta, and seasonings are just decoration. 1. Instant rice. The risky item. Lessons from past mistakes. A family in Texas once stocked regular white rice and failed miserably during a 3-day power outage. They had plenty of food, but couldn't cook it. The costly lesson. Regular rice is a risky item if you don't have a plan. But pre-cooked and dried rice changes everything. With just hot water, you have a full meal without a stove, gas, or electricity. This is the item you need in your survival stash if you want to avoid a food disaster. Instant rice provides stable carbohydrates, long-lasting fullness, easy storage, and extended shelf life. Pattern break. You have plenty of food, but if you can't cook it, it's meaningless. Here's the twist. An item that seems simple can become a trap without a plan. It's not a quick energy food, not a tool. It's a foundational risk item, but extremely important when prepared correctly. Final mini twist. Owning dried rice gives you both convenient food and a lesson in survival strategy. The difference between surviving and starving in a crisis. Now you can see clearly. Not everything that is tasty and easy to buy is enough. In a crisis, simple, long-lasting, versatile items are the real lifesavers. Beans, powdered milk, canned fish, honey, baking soda. Each item plays a vital role. Prepare today. Don't wait until the power goes out, prices rise, or the stores are empty. Because when everything else disappears, only what you have smartly stockpiled can save you.